Mabuhay and welcome to Barangay Bikini's first official video. Today it's going to be a top 10 weird and wonderful things that I've experienced here in the Philippines. It's going to be a little crazy, a little kooky, but this is all from an American perspective, adjusting to life in the Philippines, adjusting to remote work in the Philippines, and learning a little bit about Filipino culture. So let's get started.
Number 10. Barangays. Kinda weird.
Okay, barangays are the lowest level of municipality in the Philippines. In the US, we have HOAs or neighborhood watches, but they have no government power. But here in the Philippines, everything starts at the barangay level. Barangays are responsible for a lot of the basic needs of a lot of the different individuals living in the barangay. A lot of Filipinos, a lot of their life is centered around the barangay. The fiestas that they enjoy, the celebrations, the aid that they may receive after natural disasters, it all comes from the barangays, which have a politician in charge named a barangay captain, and barangay captains are an elected position. It's pretty weird. I don't know if it's wonderful yet though, but it's weird. Don't know if it's wonderful yet.
Number 9. The languages of the Philippines. Weird and wonderful.
In the Philippines, anywhere from 100 to 190 languages are spoken daily, and that is crazy when you think about it. It's definitely weird and it's definitely wonderful. It can be confusing and it can be scary because you think, what if I don't know the language of the area? Well, I have some information for you. Over 90% of the population speak English to a large extent, to the point where I've met plenty of Filipinos that sound like they're from California. Now, a lot of the Filipino languages here in the Philippines come from Tagalog or they come from Cebuano. Tagalog is where we get Filipino, the official language of the Philippines, which English is also the second official language of the Philippines. And Cebuano is the other primary language here in the Philippines, where we get Bisaya from, which is prominent in the south. So when you're thinking about coming to the Philippines, don't worry about what language they speak. As long as you speak English, you should be okay. There's also some dialects of Spanish that are still spoken here in the Philippines, which I think is pretty cool.
Number 8. The Burr months. Weird and absolutely wonderful.
Okay, the Burr months. The Burr months are certainly wonderful. They're a little weird, but I love it. What are the Burr months? Well, let me ask you a question. When does Christmas start? Does it start the day after Thanksgiving? Does Christmas season start before Thanksgiving? What if I told you Christmas season started in September? That's right. Here in the Philippines, the Burr months start off the Christmas season. And Christmas season starts off in September. September 1st kicks off so much of the Christmas season here in the Philippines. And it actually runs to the end of December, sometimes even into January. It's one of the most wonderful things. And I love that about the Philippines because the Filipino people embrace Christmas for so many months. And it's such a wonderful thing.
Number 7. Nurses from the Philippines.
Okay, nurses from the Philippines. What do I mean by this? I guarantee you, if you live in a developed country, if you go to your local hospital, there is likely to be a nurse at that hospital who came from the Philippines. The Philippines is the world's largest exporter of nurses. It is crazy how many nurses are Filipino. Why, you may ask? Well, here's a sad fact. Here in the Philippines, a nurse can earn anywhere from $500 to $600 US per month. That is pretty low. If you go to Thailand, that same nurse earns $1,000 per month, a country that's right next door and has a much lower cost of living. If that same nurse goes to the US, she's starting out at about $6,000 per month. The cost of living compared to how much nurses earn is really sad. Nurses here in the Philippines aren't paid nearly enough. Same with teachers, but there are so many nurses all around the world that have come from the Philippines, and it's a little weird, but it's certainly wonderful, and it shows so much of a testament to the Filipino, or of the Filipino people, that they are so caring that they export so many nurses.
Number 6. Remote workers. Weird and wonderful.
Remember how I said a Filipino nurse working here in the Philippines earns about $500 to $600 per month? Well, what if a Filipino worked as a virtual assistant? How much do you think they would make? Try $500 to $600 per month. That's right. Remote work has given Filipinos the capability of earning so much more income than they would normally here in the Philippines. To the extent that before COVID, 50% of the Filipino workforce actually worked remotely. During COVID, that number went to over 85%. The Philippines and Filipinos have embraced remote work and working remotely for foreign companies so much, to the extent that it's so common to see Filipinos working at Starbucks or at coffee shops because they're a remote worker.
Number 5. Marching bands. Weird and slightly wonderful.
Marching bands here in the Philippines are definitely weird. I don't know yet if they're wonderful. They're wonderful to a little extent, just not entirely. So allow me to explain. In the US, we may have marching bands for your school or your university, and it's totally normal that they practice at the school, and they may practice for a couple hours after school. And that's it. Here in the Philippines, barangays have marching bands. Yep, that's right. Good old barangays have marching bands. So that means that almost anywhere you go, if you're not living in the province, you're going to hear marching bands at some time. There's even professional marching bands that allow Filipinos to earn money working in a marching band as a professional musician. They are everywhere. They are a huge part of fiestas, and it's a little weird that there's so much use of marching bands here in the Philippines, but it's a little bit wonderful.
Number 4. Jeepneys. Weird and kinda wonderful.
Jeepneys. Jeepneys are definitely weird, and they're kind of wonderful. So most people know about jeepneys when they hear about the Philippines. Jeepneys are these normally old World War II era U.S. Army Jeeps that have been converted into buses as a form of public transportation. These things are decked out, painted with elaborate colors, and they have slogans painted on the side. The destinations are painted on the side of where they're going to go. Extremely personalized. And they're really cheap. They're usually anywhere from 10 cents to 50 cents per ride. And it's really the main form of public transportation here in the Philippines. Public buses are not that common, and public light rail almost outside of Manila is non-existent. And that's jeepneys. Jeepneys provide a wonderful service to the average Filipino, and they're weird and they're kind of wonderful.
Number 3. Balut. Just plain weird.
Okay, balut. I'm sorry. Balut is just plain weird to me. My wife loves balut. That woman can eat 3-4 balut at any time. To me, balut is just plain weird. What is balut? Balut is a fetal duck egg. So that means it is a duck egg that has been allowed to grow anywhere from 15 to 21 days, and the embryo inside has allowed to form and grow a beak and small amounts of bone. And Filipinos love to eat this as a street food. It's not everywhere. You do have to look for it occasionally, and it is one of the rather unusual street foods here in the Philippines. Not for me. My wife loves it. Filipinos love it. Which is not for me.
Number 2, OFWs. Just wonderful.
What is an OFW? Okay, an OFW is an overseas foreign worker. That means a Filipino who has left the Philippines to work a job in another country. They're not immigrants. They're not immigrating to another country. No. They're just going to another country to work and send money back to their relatives in the Philippines, their wives, their kids, their husbands, whatever. And they actually are 2% of the Filipino population. So 2% of the Filipino population goes overseas to work, and it's a long extent of their life. They may spend years overseas not seeing their family. They may not get the chance to come back at all. Some only come back for Christmas, and that's it. They actually represent 9% of the Philippine economy, which is insane because agriculture in its entirety represents 9% of the Filipino economy. That means that 2% of the labor force contributes 9% of the GDP just with the money they send back. That's weird and so weird.
Number 1, barangay bikinis. Weirdest, but kinda wonderful.
Okay, you had to know it was going to be number 1. Barangay bikini. It is so weird and kind of wonderful, I get it. If you're a big guy like me and there's no AC and you're sweating, hey, pull your shirt up and crop top it. Now, it's pretty common here in the Philippines among uncles, older men here in the Philippines that are out and just hanging out on the street or walking around or hanging around their house. If it gets too hot, lift up the shirt and just go about your day with your shirt tucked up into a barangay bikini. I know it's kind of one of those weird things. You don't see it at government offices, don't see it at malls. They have rules against that. But if you drive around the Philippines enough, you'll see barangay bikinis quite often. And to me, it's just the most unusual thing. And it's so weird and it's so wonderful. And that concludes my top 10 list. Top 10 weird and wonderful things here in the Philippines. Now, take in mind, these are all from my perspective. That of an American living here in the Philippines. To Filipinos, these are everyday things that are so normal. But to us foreigners, sometimes these things stand out as a little bit unusual. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with them. Even balut. Just means they're weird and wonderful things here in the Philippines. Now, obviously, barangay bikinis stood out to me. The idea of grown men walking around in crop tops, it inspired this channel. What stood out to you as the most interesting or weirdest, most wonderful thing through this list? Do me a favor, comment down below. Helps out the algorithm. Helps out my channel tremendously. While you're at it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. Here's looking forward to a lot more videos here with the Barangay Bikini channel. I'm looking forward to giving you more videos around my adjustment to Filipino culture, my adjustment to the Philippines, and working remotely here in the Philippines. It's going to be a fun journey, and I can't wait to have you experience it with me. Until the next time, have a wonderful day.